Welcome back to the Last Row Podcast. My name is Drew, and as always, I am joined by my best friend, Badway, across the room.
You're not my best friend.
What are you, Larry David? You guys know the drill by now. This is a movie podcast. We watch underrated movies. Today is our on-demand episode where we have a bunch of topics lined up for you. If you're looking for us on the web, we are at thelastrowpodcast.com, on Twitter at thelastrowpod, facebook.com/thelastrowpod, Google Plus, and iTunes. Hit that subscribe button. Leave us a 5-star review if you're enjoying the show. Many people have done so far. Thank you, everyone who's done so. What are we talking about today, Badway?
So, like you said, this is a Last Row on-demand episode. We're talking about a couple of loose topics. First one, 4DX theaters. Put you inside the movie, Drew.
in the movie.
In the movie.
Not
like,
VR.
Like that kid in Last Action Hero.
Get the golden ticket.
Yeah. We're also going to talk about Hardcore Henry, an upcoming release with some revolutionary tactics.
Is that an adult film?
Could be. We'll see.
Maybe it is.
Yeah. And we're going to wrap it up with a listener email asking us to reboot Steven Seagal's Under Siege. We'll see how that goes.
I am looking very much forward to that.
I have some
one.
thoughts on that, so we'll get into it. So 4DX, I don't know much about this thing. You brought it to my attention earlier in the week, and I just want to know what's going on with this. So you lay the groundwork for us.
So I'm going to put this article that I read from Wired.com, after we talked about Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice last week, and throughout the week, outside of this show, many times, probably too much.
Too much Batman.
I promise that we won't talk about Batman much anymore, and especially not Entourage. I don't know if we can promise that one.
I'm going to set the over-under on Batman references for you at 4 right now, and I'm going to count that last one.
I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over.
There's no line for the Entourage references because that's
just a given.
Yeah.
No, but so 4DX theaters. So there's this technology, and I read this article on Wired.com. Sent it to you. I'll post it in the show notes for the people that have not read it.
Yep.
Very interesting article. It's these high-tech theaters. They just put one in Manhattan.
Yeah.
It's motion-enabled chairs with, quote, strong vibrations.
Yeah.
Some, quote, lightning, rain, and flashing strobe lights. And a dash of, quote, fog and strong scents. End quote.
So it gives you the see, feel, hear, taste, touch.
So you are in the movie. And let me read to you the title of this article. It's called, quote, What It's Like to See Batman v Superman. Don't count that as a reference.
It doesn't count.
In Butt Punishing 4DX.
Butt Punishing 4DX.
Butt Punishing. I think we have our show title right there.
Yeah.
I think that's our show title.
That's got to be it.
No, so basically this theater, you're in the movie.
Yeah.
So you're in this movie, and the guy described watching the Batman v Superman movie with this new theater. So it's in Manhattan. The tickets are like $30. Is that too high or not, or just enough for you?
That's probably good.
Would you pay for that?
I would try it.
When you think about
see.
When you think about most 3D movies, they're like $25 these days, anyways.
Right.
So
especially in Manhattan.
Yeah, I mean $5 for a little extra butt punching.
Yeah,
I don't think
course.
anyone's going to complain about that.
I'll tell you what I'm very excited about though is like this just opens up a world of new possibilities in the porno industry.
Yeah,
You know.
First they had HD, DVD, and Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Now they got 4K.
Well, first the DVD player came out and they let you change angles.
Oh yeah,
and people that was before I knew anything about anything, but I'm sure the people were going nuts about that.
Is that even used anymore? Alternate angles. When's the last time you saw
I'll tell you what. I've never had that feature work. Every time I ever tried it when I first got a DVD player to switch angles on a movie,
in
it would
adult
never
films
work.
or
no, I don't know. When DVDs came out, I was probably like 12 years old. I don't know.
No, you know what's funny? I mean, most special features. I don't even watch the special features in most movies.
Yeah.
Give it to me in like a Watchmen or like a Dark Knight or whatever. I mean, even like Inception, something like that. Maybe I'd watch the extra features, but I generally, you get a second disc. I don't ever pop it in.
Do you ever listen to a director's commentary of
I
anything
think I
ever?
Did. I think I did one time for like Boy Meets World DVDs. It was like Ryder Strong and Eric Matthews. Will Friedle. I think I think I did watch some of those for that. But that's about it.
Trey Parker and Matt Stone have pretty funny ones.
I have
the ones I remember.
Basketball. I saw the basketball
and
one.
And Cannibal the Musical was also a good one.
We watched that together. I remember
Orgasmo too.
Orgasmo too.
Yeah,
Orgasmo's a great movie.
Those might have been the only ones I've seen the director's commentary for. I'm sorry, but I digress.
But getting back to the 4DX, right? So I got a couple quotes to you too. I know I've been reading a lot from this article. Like I said, I'm going to post it in the show notes. But the guy was basically describing his experience watching the movie in 4DX. So he mentioned, when there was like an outdoor scene it was like cold and dark. A
Yeah.
cold brush of air went through the theater into him, and he felt like, you know, that his hair was flying around.
Yeah.
The other thing was they were talking about Doomsday and the face of Doomsday, and they said, "Oh, what did the breath smell like?"
Yeah.
He mentioned it smelled like I think Bactine and Diet Sprite.
Diet Sprite is
So
such
there's
a,
smells,
yeah,
right?
It's such a
So if you're watching a
focused smell.
movie, like let's say you're watching a movie like in the bayou, you know, some like swamp, God forbid, swamp ass in the movie. You know, is it going to smell like that? I mean, what's the scent technology?
Well, you don't
want
to put the people off. You know, it has to be very specific. It can't be all like we're not going to be smelling the swamp for 90 minutes of whatever movie of Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call.
So that's what I don't get. Would you want to smell Doomsday's ass in your face? His breath?
I don't want to smell any ass in my face. Drew,
Diet
but-
Sprite. This is what the guy said. He said, occasionally and seemingly random, a slight medicinal odor wafted into the theater. If you're wondering what Doomsday's breath smells like, it smells like a mix of Bactine and Diet Sprite.
That sounds good. I don't know, but no, as long as it's very brief, it's. I feel like it's a good thing. Like I personally can't smell, so it doesn't really affect me one way or the other.
I forgot.
Little known fact, but for other people, sure, go for it.
I mean, I guess it could be cool if you're in a scene where it's like on the beach. There's a beach. Do
Yeah.
you smell the beach? How do they
Right.
mix these scents?
What if it's like a cooking movie? You know?
Yeah, man. So that's how they get you to buy more food,
Right.
right? It's like
Yeah.
when they drop the ice into the glass.
Oh, you know they're gonna be pumping popcorn smells in regular movies later on. Like while there's like a downside of the scene, they're gonna put popcorn. They're gonna have chocolate. It's like it's kind of like a subliminal thing.
All the subliminal.
Yeah.
But the best part about this was the guy basically describes his experience, right? Like we were saying, and he said that the seats move, so it's kind of like a theme park ride, like a roller coaster almost. And I looked some of these videos up on YouTube. It's like 4 seats together,
yeah.
and they move in unison, and the thing is like on hydraulics. Like I don't know why it seems so funny to me just to like be maybe like an innocent bystander to watch people watching this movie, like watching people jerk
Fly on
around
the
in the
wall.
seats. But the guy goes on to talk about this, and he says it goes without saying that all that jerking and lurching, especially in a movie that pushes the 150-minute mark, isn't for everybody. One theater goer near me took to the floor during the punch and go of Batman v Superman's final half hour. More than a few stood up during the end credits and rubbed their backs. So, like, the guys got their ass kicked.
Yeah. I kind of want that. Like I feel like that would be fun.
If you're spending $30, seems to be like you're getting your money's worth.
Well, if I'm spending $30, I would want them to beat my ass. Like it better be worth it.
So if you could go back and watch any movie that has been released
Yeah.
into the world in your history of the 30 plus years that we've been alive here, what movie would you want to see in butt punching 4DX?
Well, I'd have to think about that for a second, but I alluded to the porno industry. You know how like back before when we were kids, like it was like a thing in movies. They would show a creepy guy like going to the porno theater
Yeah.
to watch a porno in the movie theater. Like, is that what they're gonna do with this? Like, they could have like strippers, and the ticket might be $30, but it might be $40 or $50, depending on what kind of service you want.
It
Right?
sounds like you have a business idea.
Right. And I'm not talking about prostitution here. I'm talking about you watch the porno on the screen and they have like you had a lap dance because like when you're getting your back punched while Superman and Batman are fighting each other, you're not actually getting hurt. It's kind of like a massage type thing.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about other massages.
I see where you're going.
Or a seat rumble. You know.
I
Who
see
knows?
I see where you're
Right?
I see where you're going with this. A seat rumble.
But as far as movies go, like let's take superhero movies. Let's talk Batman and Robin, right?
Yeah.
Make that movie better. Like, what if, like, imagine all the freeze scenes where it's
Would
just
it-
like ice cold in the theater, that the seat freezes up.
I feel like we don't live that far away from Manhattan, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like we need to take it upon ourselves to go see a movie.
Yeah. Oh, there's got to
In
be
one
a
of
movie.
these.
There's got to be a movie that's worth it.
I'm trying to think of what's coming out. Like Avengers, or not
Well-
Avengers, Captain America is the next big release.
Yeah. Well, hey, our next topic, Hardcore Henry,
Oh,
would be the
man.
perfect release.
Do you think that would be shown in that theater?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's big enough. I don't think anybody's going to spend $30 on Hardcore Henry. But I don't know. What would be like a bad movie? What would be like a bad experience for this kind of movie to be on.
Hardcore Henry, because it could make you sick.
Yeah, well,
Like,
they just
that-
have you. They just have you. I can imagine like a NASA like testing thing where they just
Yeah.
have you spinning around in circles the whole freaking
I
time.
mean, I know it's not your favorite, but maybe I could convince you to go see a space movie up there with me.
you're talking Star Wars.
I mean,
I
don't
would
know-
watch. I would watch Star Wars in that movie. I would do
it would
that.
keep you entertained. Well, you wouldn't fall asleep.
No, yeah.
That's the question. Would you
No,
fall asleep?
I would
in
watch
this?
every movie because I fall asleep in every movie. So
Didn't you? No,
Definitely.
I know we promised we wouldn't
Yeah.
talk about it. Did you fall asleep in Batman?
Did I not mention this in the last episode?
I don't remember.
I did. I totally did. And dude, don't make fun of me. It was during the fight.
I
It was
I
during
can't
the
believe
fight.
it. I can't believe it. You fell asleep in the fight, the climactic ending of
I
the
felt
movie.
at BVS. I fell asleep during BVS. Yeah, I did.
I can't hear BVS and not think of the Steel Panther song. If you're listening and you know what I'm talking about, I'm
Oh,
putting my
man.
thumb up here. But
Yeah.
one last thing before we move on from this topic and talk about Hardcore Henry. Are there any other movies that you'd want to watch in this that you can think of? I have one in my head here.
Well, I would do some kind of like I don't know, action driving movie, like Fast and the Furious, for example.
oh my dude, why did
Yeah.
it took us 10 minutes into this
Yeah,
topic to think
right.
about that? Furious 7.
Furious 7 in 4DX Butt Puncher. Absolutely, absolutely.
You know what?
What were you thinking?
I don't know if it was a great movie. The movie actually kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And I know we always like every movie, but do you remember Dark Water?
oh my god!
I remember seeing Dark Water in the theater.
Jennifer
It was
Connelly.
Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah.
I almost said Jennifer Garner.
You know,
Jennifer Connelly.
yeah.
It was just raining the whole time. So this guy talks about in the notes here of this
yeah.
article about how there was like a mist
Uh-huh.
and it was like wet in the theater. Like, what if you're just sitting in the rain watching this movie?
Oh man, what if they really went for it, right?
Like it's
Yeah.
just pouring
Yeah.
on you. You're wearing a raincoat. You got to bring your poncho, or you didn't know and you
Yeah.
went in and you just get soaking
Or
wet.
they do something like Kill Bill, where she's like slicing everyone's neck in that scene. and
Blood
it's like,
squirting
what if
everywhere.
They have like red like mist just being squirted on you constantly.
I've heard of there's a theater up in Boston area, and one of my old bosses told me about this. He used to go up there sometimes to visit family. He mentioned that there was a theater that had seat rumbling and all this stuff. I don't know if it's the same type of thing as this, but he
Yeah.
mentioned it's in like a furniture store.
In a furniture store.
Yeah, so he said the first time they discovered this place, they didn't know that it was actually a theater. And
Yeah.
and if anybody's listening and they know what I'm talking about, I've never been there. Send me what this place is because I don't know which one it is. But you like walk down this long hallway and he said it's really creepy. It's like a
Yeah.
Goosebumps book where there's like dolls and stuff.
He's
on the
lucky he
top.
wasn't murdered.
That's what I told him.
Yeah.
He's like, you walk down this long hallway. It's really dark. You don't know where you're going. I'm like, I don't know. Were you at a movie theater?
Yeah.
But he said, so then you walk in and it's like this gigantic theater, but they only show like one movie at a time.
Yeah.
And it's usually the big movie. So
Okay.
right now they're probably showing, Batman. Coming up, they'll be showing, Captain America, all the big releases, Furious 7.
Yeah.
And they have one theater for this thing.
Here
I would love to go there.
here's my dream. And I talked about this before, not on the podcast, but I think I mentioned this to you before. Speaking of furniture stores, I want a movie theater that has couches.
They do exist.
They do?
They do exist.
So instead of seats, they have like a bunch of couches and they're raised as per each like level of the theater. And you look to your right, what's there? There's some refrigerators, right?
So it's like a basement.
Yeah, it's like a basement.
What if the theater is someone's basement?
Yeah, I'd pay $30, sit on the couch. It's all
Unlimited
you can
beers?
drink.
Unlimited
And
beers?
They have cans of sodas, cans of beers. Well, people might abuse it if it's beers. They wouldn't abuse sodas so much. Maybe there's some snacks in there. I don't know, a little bag of sealed off. It could be even healthy snacks. Could be carrots. I don't know.
So is it first come first serve? Is it reserved seating? Because I have to talk to you about reserved seating here.
Oh no, you got to call fives.
So you got to call fives on
You
the
got to
couch.
call fives. Somebody.
But what if somebody comes down and sits next to you? Like, how you're in the theater empty by yourself,
Yeah,
and someone sits right next to you?
you got up, bro.
Like, are you sitting on the couch with somebody? It's going to be
Some
awkward.
poor girl goes to see a movie by herself,
And you
some
go sit
creep
next to
just
her?
sidles up next to her. So it's like a party.
So let me ask you this, though, because we've talked about this not on the podcast. I don't know how everybody that's listening feels about assigned seating in theaters. I personally am a huge fan.
Yeah.
Went to the King of Prussia IMAX to see Star Wars over the this past Christmas time.
Yeah,
Had never been to a reserved seating theater. It changed my life.
yeah.
I didn't need to be there so early. I just needed to get in there, get in the seat. You don't like that, do you?
No, well, I'll tell you, I have reservations about this. The first time and only time I went to assigned seating was on The Revenant. It was a morning show. I went by myself. So they showed me the screen, and I picked. So there were like 2 or 3 other people in this theater, It was like a really early show. The Revenant was just ending, dead movie, right? So I strategically picked a seat that was in the middle of the theater and was at least one row away from everyone in every direction, right? So I picked the seat and I walk in the theater, and who's sitting right in front of me is some old lady who sat where she supposedly had sit, right? Because they show you the occupied seats on the screen before you pick your seat. So she screwed up already. So some lady comes and she sits right next to her. They don't know each other, and the lady goes, "I hope I'm in the right place. I think I'm in the wrong seat." And the other lady's like, "Yeah, you are, but I'll just sit over here." So there was a movie with 4 freaking people in the theater, and someone already was sitting in someone's seat.
But that's why it doesn't matter though, because at that point it was empty, right? They don't have to. Are they supposed to obey the rules? How does that work?
Right, but when there's 4 people in the theater, it doesn't matter. No big deal, right? Now, say it's opening weekend of BVS, and it's a packed theater, and you have your assigned seat, and you show up a minute late, right? The credits are rolling, the movie's starting. There's some asshole in my seat. You go and tell the guy, "Dude, you're in my seat." He's going to tell you to go F yourself, all right? He's going to tell you to go away. People are very confrontational in movie theaters. You can't tell anyone what to do. So, and this what do you do? Do you go get a guy? The movie's running. You're going to miss the movie. Do you fight the guy? What do you do?
I feel like it doesn't happen as often as you're thinking.
His seat is probably in the front left corner. You're not going to go sit in his seat. You want justice, but you're going to ruin everyone's movie, and you're going to miss part of the movie if you go and complain. And if not, the other option is to fight the guy.
But don't you want to fight somebody in a movie theater? I do.
I don't want to fight the movie. I'll fight the guy later. I don't want to fight the guy when the movie's starting.
You say meet me in the parking lot.
Yeah, they're not going to pause the movie while you guys hash it out.
But I feel like it's not as bad as you're making it out to be.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, it changed my life.
It'll happen
man.
enough times.
Listen, it changed my life.
Yeah.
I went in there. We got there early anyway, but we were in the right seat. You check your ticket. You look at it. It happens at sporting events, I guess. Same thing, I guess.
It's not as urgent. You get your wrong seat. It's not the same thing as a movie. You don't have to pay full attention.
Tell me you paid $200 to go to a football game, and some guy at the last Eagles game that we were at. Do you remember that? But
when people are wrong at a football game or a baseball game, they admit it right away. They act embarrassed, but they know what they did. So they'll move when you call them out on it.
So you think they're going to be stubborn in a movie theater?
So in sporting events, it's no big deal. But in movie theaters, it's like a test of manliness, right? People are always ready they're on edge at movies. So you come out with this, especially if it's a guy with a date. Oh, he's going to puff his chest out at you.
But would you rather have it so that you got to go 2 hours early in advance and you got to find the perfect seat and you wind up sitting in the front row anyway with your neck strained looking sideways?
Right.
We saw Zombieland that way. Remember that?
We did.
If that movie wasn't so good, I'd been miserable.
No, I in theory I like the assigned seating, but I'm just waiting if this happens to me just one time, or not even happens to me. If I'm in the same theater where this happens and the movie's playing, I'm done. I'm done with assigned seating.
You would be mad?
I'm one and done.
So as somebody that used to work in the theater business,
you're in the movie industry.
In the movie industry, I could tell you this would be a lifesaver for me because I remember working during the Star Wars premieres. And I just remember being annoyed because you had to try to get people, seated.
Yeah.
But prior to that, it's like they were mad because they didn't get seated where they wanted, and there was like a line organized. So you just gotta let people pick their own seats on a screen, touch screen, done, easy as pie. I think it's good.
Well, I guess what they need, and they don't have, they just hire a 15-year-old kid to be the usher, right?
The problem is they DGAF, my friend.
Yeah,
they don't get paid enough. They get paid.
But you have a guy
wage.
whose job it is. All right, this movie's selling pretty quickly. Let's get a kid in there to show these people their seats.
It's possible that existed at Star Wars. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
But if they're smart, they would do that.
That would be good because right away the kid's like standing by the seating area. Oh, where are you seating? Okay, that's right up there, 2 rows up. No, not that row. The next one.
It's possible that they did that at Star Wars and I just didn't see it.
Right.
But that is
a seating expert.
The usher, if you will.
They don't call him an usher though. You got to call him like a seating expert.
Seating specialist.
Give him a cool title.
Put it on their business card.
Yeah, right.
So I know we lingered on that topic a little bit, but I want to get to our next one. Something I'm personally excited about.
Yeah.
I know you are.
Yeah.
The adult film Hardcore Henry. Rated R.
Rated R.
The adult film Hardcore Henry. Tell me about Hardcore Henry.
What's to say about Hardcore Henry? It's a movie shot on a GoPro, basically. And it's just an action movie. It's like a first-person shooter, but it's a movie. And this is very revolutionary. It's never been done before. Apparently, this director, I don't have his name, in front of me.
U-Bowl.
Yeah, it's probably U-Bowl, something
No,
like
just
that.
kidding.
No, how dare us? No, but it's a guy who did a couple music videos, a couple shorts that got a lot of critical acclaim for its like ingenuity and a lot of crazy action scenes going on. Seems like the guy, like whoever is Henry, is doing like parkour stunts or whatever, and they just have his like a GoPro attached to like his face, right? So there's this guy running around the movie with a GoPro on him, and you just see what he sees. He's fighting people. He's in gunfights. I'm sure there's a love scene in there that I know you're waiting for.
Oh, I can't wait.
Right?
I can't wait.
And this has never been done before. And I'm surprised it hasn't been done before. There's a lot of gimmicks going on there. I'm surprised it's never been done before. And it seems too good to be true. Like it's too much of a gimmick to be good. What do you think about that?
Do we know the runtime on this movie? Is it like an hour and a half?
No, it's gotta be at least 80 minutes. Every movie's 80 minutes.
It has to be, yeah.
at the
Like
least.
otherwise it'd be direct to DVD,
Yeah.
right? I think an hour and 17 is like the lowest I've
Yeah.
seen recently.
It can't be 2 hours, but it's at least an hour 20.
I think if they made it 2 hours, I really suspect that they
Yeah.
might need the paper vomit bags like you see on the airplane in front of you.
Because I gotta be honest with you, I'm not one to be squeamish of motion sickness or anything
Yeah.
like that. Like I could play a video game for 17 hours and not be like bugged out by it, or flashing lights don't bother me. I watched this music video or whatever the short of this guy.
That's based on,
Yeah, it's 5 minutes long, and after 3 minutes, like I had enough. Like it was awesome, but I've had enough. Like I was starting to get a little woozy. So I don't know if I can handle a full movie. Maybe it's different on the big screen.
That's what I would tell you.
It's not on a computer screen. I don't know.
The computer screen might make a difference
Yeah.
if you have the big screen, or maybe it'd be worse. But there's some big names in this movie. I know most of the people on the IMDb list are, foreign actors. I don't know if they're South African or what it
Yeah.
was, because I think what's his name, Sharlto Copley's in this.
Yeah,
if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, the dude from Neil Blomkamp,
Chappie
Neil
and
Blomkamp fame. Yeah.
District 9, and
Yeah.
then you got the resident bad guy Tim Roth.
Yeah, Tim Roth.
Those
Gotta-
are the two names that I recognize.
Yeah, we don't know if he's the bad guy, but he's got to play the bad guy.
My assumption is
Yeah.
he's the bad guy. But what do you think of the casting? You think that's? I mean, I don't know who Henry is.
Yeah, they're kooky enough, and I guess Henry doesn't really matter because he's like, I don't know, I don't even think he has speaking lines.
That's interesting.
I think it's just he's just running and he's going nonstop, kind of like Crank.
See, I like
Jason
Crank.
Statham. Yeah.
Call me crazy.
Yeah.
I liked Crank.
No, Crank was fun. I never saw Crank 2. Even Crank.
Even crankier.
Even crankier. Yeah.
Cranky.
No.
Crank 2, even crankier.
This first try is all it takes. It's
You
good.
gotta have
It's
a
done.
colon, my
It's
friend.
done. So is this something you'd be interested in seeing in the theater, or is this like a on-demand curiosity for you?
Put it this way, I think it looks really cool. I'd probably watch it if I was free at that time. What is it? It comes out April 8th. That's next week. I think I'd watch it. I would like to see it. If you want to go, we should go.
Oh yeah, I would totally be into it. So the synopsis goes: a first-person action film from the eyes of Henry, who is resurrected from death with no memory. He must discover his identity and save his wife from a warlord with a plan to bioengineer soldiers.
See, this sounds like a video game.
Yeah,
this sounds like Far
it's
Cry.
such a video game. It is a video game type atmosphere.
Did you ever play Far Cry Blood Dragon?
No, I never
It's-
played the Far Cry series.
You need to get on that. Blood Dragon was a 360 game. It reminds me of this. It's like an 80s type throwback with Michael Biehn in it.
yeah. Oh,
Reese!
Michael Biehn.
Yeah,
Nice.
he's like literally in the game. But that's what this sounds like, and it sounds like something that we would like.
Yeah, so it shot on a GoPro. I guess it was crowdfunded as well. I guess it started gaining some steam after the guy got the idea to do the full-blown movie version of some of his shorts. Do you see this as, like, using the GoPro? I mean, I've seen a lot of GoPro videos of action sports, surfing. It's freaking awesome. Snowboarding.
Yeah.
Do you see this as a thing in movies going forward? If this does really well, do you see this catching on with other directors? People trying to take a shot?
Put it this way, I'm not so sure that it's going to replace entire movies like
Yeah.
shot on it, but I definitely could see them using like this technique for certain scenes within a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
certain scenes, especially
Right.
love scenes.
Because-
Especially love scenes.
Because, like, you have a couple different paranormal activity movies that are shot just basically with a steady cam on a security cam. You got, obviously, the Blair Witch phenomenon, which started the whole
Yeah.
found footage type thing. So you don't think it's going to be as big as that? There's not going to be genre freaks that are going to be just making whole movies on this. Do you think it's going to be singular to this one guy, this one movie? Or possibly if a sequel were to come out?
I could see a sequel being made to this. Maybe it would be like a small group of people that make these types of movies.
Right.
I mean, what we saw this first person scene within the one movie Doom, right?
Doom,
So that was Carl Urban and The Rock was in that.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. Most movies would get bashed, but because The Rock is so good,
Yeah.
everyone kind of like forgets that movie
He
was
saved
made.
it, you know? Well, before he was like The
Yeah.
Rock.
Right.
Like he was a big name, but as far as acting goes, he was still kind of bit.
I think you bring up a good point, though. You got the other genres. So you got the found footage, the lost and found footage type stuff.
Yeah.
A little overrated, in my opinion.
Sure. I mean, it was that people took it and ran with it. Blair Witch was kind of a phenomenon. And looking back on it, I don't think it was that great of a movie.
You know, everyone said it was like the scariest thing. And, you know, that kind of stuff typically would freak me out a little bit. I didn't think it
Demonic
was that bad.
possession type stuff.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah.
Paranormal Activity, yeah, that's something that I'm not going to be watching at home in my basement with the lights
Yeah.
off. I mean, that kind of thing does freak me out a little bit. Again, a little overrated. They're
Right.
kind of the same
Yeah.
over and over. I mean, they have ghost hunters on TV. It's kind of the same thing, you know?
Yeah, right.
I could see this being in part of the movies, but I don't know if it's going to catch on as its own genre. I think Hardcore Henry 2, even more hardcore, would probably
Hardcore,
be the next time. Hardcore,
even Henryer.
even hardcore, even more hardcore
Yeah.
is probably the next time you're going to see
Yeah,
this type of technique for an entire movie.
right.
But you know what? Maybe I'm the naysayer. It
So-
looks pretty awesome.
So from what you see, this guy has dibs.
yeah, oh yeah.
He got dibs on the GoPro.
Dude, he might even have a patent on
Yeah.
this. We don't even know.
But it'd be it's right. You'd be interested to see. I could totally see. We talked about Fast and Furious for the 40K. I could totally see a scene where you got Vin Diesel chasing somebody down, and it's clearly not Vin Diesel because I feel like he'd be out of breath after 20 steps.
You need, so the key to this is you need the best stunt guy
Yeah,
in the world. But doesn't this make like action stars upset? Because if you're an action star, you want your face seen.
yeah, oh yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Like Sharlto Copley, like he's in this. I mean, from the trailers, it looks like he's, you know, just a guy in the movie.
yeah,
You know, he's not going to sign on as top billing to be Henry or whatever. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the synopsis, but he's not going to sign on to be the guy that wears the GoPro on his head. You need
No.
the stunt guy
Yeah.
to do that.
So the guy is not a name actor, but the guy who is Henry isn't going to be paid as highly as
Right.
Sharlto because it's all about the face, baby. This could be multiple guys. This Henry guy, like that's doing the stunts, could be multiple stuntmen.
So you
You
got a stunt man.
Yeah, it could be a stunt team. You know,
But I think that's cool, and maybe like you said, you're going to see that. I mean, you're not going to get speaking lines from this
Yeah.
probably.
the
Yeah.
acting is going to be totally done by the other characters. Even though Sharlto isn't the main character, he's probably showing up in the majority of the film.
It reminds me so much of a video game, and I think that's really cool. See, I'm all about the film innovations,
Yeah,
and I feel like, you know, 3D, I could take it or leave it most of the times. 4K is great because the
Yeah.
picture's better, right, for home theaters and stuff.
Right.
Home 3D, I'm not really into that. This 40X, whatever we're talking about earlier in
Yeah.
the show, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're talking about innovations here. We're innovating here on this episode, and I would be interested in seeing this movie for the right price of $5 or less.
$5 or less.
I'll do the cheapo 10 a.m. Sunday showing
Yeah.
for sure.
I'll go with you.
Yeah.
I think I would like
Because
to watch
I
it.
respect. It might not be good, but I respect them trying this because I appreciate it. I appreciate the ingenuity. Something
Let's-
fresh.
I know we haven't talked about a certain fruit that tends to go bad on this show. We kind of denounced them last time. That fruit was a little
Is
too.
it a fruit or a vegetable?
Yeah, I guess it's. I don't know. That's up for debate. But I would love to see what the score is
Either way,
for
it's
this
overrated.
movie. We'll see. We'll see what the so-called critics say about this movie coming up.
Well, anyway, let's we're gonna wrap this episode up with our last section. We got an email. This comes from Scene.
From who is it?
Scene. Yeah.
Scene Hunter.
Yeah. Or Sean, if you're an asshole, you pronounce it Sean, but I pronounce it Scene. Just kidding, Scene. Sorry. No.
We have 5 listeners,
Yeah.
and now you pissed off
No,
one of them.
No disrespect, Scene. I'm just joshing.
we have 5 listeners.
Yeah.
One of them was nice enough to write into us.
I'm just yoshing. All right. Hey guys, after listening to your BVS podcast, I liked your reboot of Demolition Man and would be into The Rock and Hardy as top billing, but I think you really missed an opportunity to seriously add Nick Cage. Well, yeah. Is this Dave?
Dave, is that you?
Is that Dave?
Dave, are you seen?
I know it's usually a joke, but I really think he can pull it off. I agree. Like, we did miss him.
Well, because so scene when You got me doing it now.
I'm sorry, Sean. I'm
Sean's
really
gonna
sorry.
hate us. He's never gonna listen again.
I can't take that spelling of that name seriously.
No,
but-
so let me say this. It's always the popular thing to add Nick Cage, and we were thinking of you, Sean. And when we used to add Nick Cage in everything, but then
Yeah.
it became sort of ridiculous. But isn't this the perfect movie for him?
yeah, it actually kind of is.
Looking back on it,
He could be freaking. He's Simon Phoenix.
yes,
It's not John Sparta. He's Simon Phoenix.
because he's crazy.
Yeah.
He is crazy in every role.
Now I don't know what Seed was getting at if he was talking about Nick Cage for the Stallone or the Wesley Snipes role. I'm not sure which one he was thinking of, but totally Simon Phoenix.
I'm just gonna assume that he was talking about Simon Phoenix.
But he could also do the John Sparta role because he has that kind of confused, what year is this look on his face a lot of the time.
I'm afraid he'd overact in that though, and he
Yeah.
might look ridiculous.
But he might knock it out of the park though.
What if this is like his way back in?
Yeah, no, because we talked about, I brought up Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call.
That's a great movie.
Which is an awesome movie, underrated, where he completely threw himself into that character, batshit insane.
But you know
He
what?
could do that here.
You know what about that movie? Not to get too far off topic.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the Nick Cage loses his shit YouTube video, the
Yeah.
one where he goes insane, and I remember seeing. I saw that before I saw Bad Lieutenant,
Yeah.
and I thought, man, that movie looks like a piece of crap. But it's like it's bad on purpose in a,
Yeah.
in a weird
No,
way.
It's so odd that it's genius.
Do you remember the scene where like the guy just starts breakdancing?
Oh, yeah.
in the middle of the
And
floor.
then there's the iguana scene and all that.
Like,
oh, man.
So if you haven't seen
Yeah.
that movie, you need to
Go
watch
see
it.
Bad Lieutenant 2 starring Nick Cage.
But-
It's great.
But to Sean's point,
Yeah.
I think Nick Cage would be awesome
Yeah.
in that movie.
So adding on to his email, he finishes with,
Oh, there's more.
since you guys did a good job with this, I'd love to see your thoughts on an Under Siege reboot and recast.
Under Siege 1 or 2?
It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, you got a boat or you got a train.
I'm assuming it's 1 because there are actual other actors other than Steven Seagal. It's Steven Seagal's most legit film, right?
1, right? Not 2.
1.
Yeah. 2
I like 2 better than 1. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, me
as an
too.
enjoyment perspective,
We did an episode on that
Of
one. You
course
should
we
go
did.
back and listen to
you
it.
should go back and listen to it. But Under Siege 1, he wants to do a reboot recast.
So who do we have? So obviously Seagal.
So-
Let's save that for a second.
Yeah, so here's my issue. I told you I had an issue with this. Who is the Seagal of today?
I see. My first inclination, and I hate to say this,
Yeah,
I would say it's Nick Cage, even though
but it's
not
not
really.
It can't be.
But he's in direct-to-DVD stuff. He's kind of crazy. He takes
In that-
himself kind of seriously.
in that aspect, he is, and that he'll make any movie anywhere, anytime. But he's not the action star. Like Seagal was born and bred on crazy action movies, and he stayed in that path through the length of his career, which is still going on, surprisingly.
It's not The Rock because The Rock takes himself like not seriously.
No,
It's not like a Jason Statham because I feel like he hasn't been around that long to the point where, or maybe it is Jason Statham.
Statham is close, right?
He doesn't have a ponytail though, so
Yeah.
like I don't think he doesn't have a ponytail.
And I don't-
Seagal had the ponytail.
I don't think he's not as mysterious as Seagal either.
That's
right?
true, but he's
You know?
he's foreign.
He's forward, but he's not mysterious. He just talks in a just because you talk in a whisper doesn't make you mysterious. Like
Seagal
yes,
talks like this.
Seagal also talks in a whisper, but that's not because he's mysterious. That's not why he's mysterious.
Anybody seen Richie? I'm looking for Richie.
Oh man. So I feel like I can't properly recast this movie because there is no other Seagal. He's kind of like a once in a lifetime guy. Not to say that he's the greatest, because if we talk about the other four, the big four, the Mount Rushmore of action stars, if you will, Seagal, Van Damme, Arnold, and Stallone.
Yeah,
You could remake and have remade an Arnold movie. You can and have remade a Stallone movie. You could do a Van Damme movie. Like you could remake and reboot all those movies. You can't reboot any of Seagal's movies.
because he rebooted them himself. That's the problem.
Yes, you do.
The truth is, he rebooted them himself because he was in a movie as a cop. Okay, he's in
Yeah.
a coma now. He wakes up and he's got a he's got a beard and he wakes up perfectly from a coma and starts beating people up the next second. Like I grew up watching these Seagal movies,
Yeah.
and he rebooted them himself, with the exception of Under Siege. Actually, he just made Under Siege 2, so he rebooted that.
Yeah, it's not a reboot. That's a
It's
sequel.
but
It's a
like
sequel.
that's really one of his only sequels. Like you
Yeah.
look at like Hard to Kill, Out for Justice,
yeah,
Above the Law.
Yep.
Like they're all kind of the same movie. They did what we said they should do with Ghostbusters. It's like you make a new movie, call it something else.
yeah.
That's what he did.
And all of his directed DVD or directed on demand releases, he's always ex Marine, ex cop, ex spec op,
Ex-chef.
ex chef, right? And it's
Current
always
chef.
my daughter, my niece, my aunt, my ex-wife is in trouble
My old partner.
and possibly died, and I'm going to get revenge, and I'm going to kick your ass. And that's the plot.
It's
That's
gonna
it.
have Kelly LeBrock in it or
Yeah.
whatever.
And there's no need to reboot Under Siege because what is it? Terrorists on a boat. There's a guy on the boat that can kick their asses. He gets their asses. He kicks them. It's the same thing. It's like Speed. Speed was a reboot, but it wasn't a reboot. They just called it Speed. They didn't call it Under Siege on a bus.
Speed 2 cruise control.
Speed 2 cruise control.
Do you have cruise control in a boat?
Of course you can.
Is that what it is though? Is it called cruise control?
No,
I'm not a
it's a cruise, like it's a cruise liner. It's
no,
like
I get that
you
part.
get it, yeah.
But like cruise control, like it, would be better.
You can totally cruise control a boat. Come on, man.
I'm not a seaman, so I don't know if
Come on, man.
if that's the case.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's cruise control on a
There's
boat.
totally cruise control on a boat.
You gave me a good idea though. I think we need to at some point in the near future, we'll work on this.
Yeah.
We need to seriously examine the Mount Rushmore of action movies from the 80s and 90s. We need to take Stallone, we need to take Van Damme, we need to
The
take
stars.
all those guys.
Yeah.
We need to talk about all things. Their
All right.
one-liners. We like kind of what we did with the robot ranking.
Ooh,
It's only 4.
I like
We'll
it.
come up with some
like
categories.
it.
We need to rank them.
Yes.
Before I get too far away
So
from
we're
Sean's
gonna
email
find
here.
out who the definitive
Yes.
action star of the 90s is.
I can tell you
All
who
right.
I know what
So let's
it
do
is
that.
already.
We'll do those 4 guys,
Yeah.
and we'll create a scoring system, and then we'll get it going. I like it. I like it.
We have to do that. But
we're gonna blow this thing out. This is gonna be its
Yeah.
own episode, and we're gonna blow it out.
I don't want to do it because we could do it right now.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go through that. I don't
No,
want to waste
let's,
it.
Let's do all the bells and whistles in a future episode. Let's put that in the bank. Look forward to that in the near future. So yeah, not the Donald Trump scene here, but I feel like
can't believe you called it.
you know who could be Tommy Lee Jones?
Who?
Sean Bean.
Is he gonna die? He's gotta die.
He's gotta die.
Sean Bean.
Yeah. No.
Sean Beyond.
Sean Beyond. No. No, think about it though. BEAN. Is it
Hold
Beyond
on.
or is
Hold
it
on a
B?
second. Listen, Sean hates us right now. We are not. Sean, I'm sorry. Thank you for writing it.
No. So I hate to. I didn't mean to hijack the question, but I feel like it can't be done. And I'm not talking about in the reboot rules that we did a few eps back. It's not that you can't do Seagal movies. They're not great enough that you can't do them. I'm saying that you just can't do it. It's physically impossible. Just because there is no equivalent to the goofiness of Steven Seagal. Do you agree?
I agree, and I think he's a one of a kind. Like,
Yeah.
not
Not that he's great enough.
No.
That's not what we're saying.
No, he takes himself too seriously, and I
Yeah.
feel like none of the other big 4 do it. Van Damme doesn't do it. Neither does Schwarzenegger.
Right.
I mean, Schwarzenegger is such an endearing personality. Like, they made The Expendables, and, Seagal didn't want to be in it.
He wouldn't be in it because he could get top billing.
He couldn't get top billing. It's like, sorry, dude, you're 100 pounds overweight, and you're, pulling over people on highway tickets in New Orleans.
And with his thick ass New Orleans accent.
Oh, y'all think y'all could beat me in the
Beat me in
kitchen?
the kitchen. Come on. No, I may be wrong on this, but didn't they tab him as the villain in Expendables 2? And he wouldn't do it because he didn't want to be the villain.
That's what I heard.
So then they got Van Damme.
Van
Is
Damme-
that, I think that's the rumor.
You know what? I'm glad they did it because
Yeah.
Van Damme was awesome.
He was so good in that.
That
He
movie
really was.
is so underrated.
You know what I'd call? This is blasphemy. I've never seen 3.
I heard it wasn't very good. I
No.
didn't watch it myself.
I loved 1 and 2.
So my dad watched it and he said it was very
Your dad
slow.
watched
Yeah.
Expendables 3.
So one of the things that people, I don't know if people know this on the show, but I grew up watching action movies with my dad. That's
Yeah.
why I know all these stupid things like,
Yeah.
Casey Ryback and all the other names that Seagal has. We used to watch these movies together growing up. So that's why I have a very special place in my heart for
Yeah.
a lot of these action movies.
Yeah, my stepdad, before he died, may rest in peace. He for some reason he loved the Glimmer Man Right.
The Glimmer Man.
with Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Oh, man.
and Steven Seagal.
Seagal.
And I never expressed to him that I loved the Glimmer Man. I just think it's okay. It's a good one, but it's
Yeah.
not one of his best
Yeah.
Steven Seagal movies. He would go, "Hey Kev, the Glimmer Man's on."
So did you guys like bond over that one?
Yeah,
That's
we
a good
watched
one to
it.
watch
Like,
together.
for some reason, he thought that I loved the Glimmer Man. But I know he loved the Glimmer Man.
Yeah.
But I don't know why he always thought it would be an announcement. It almost became a running joke. Hey, the Glimmer Man's on because the Glimmer Man was always on.
It's like on TNT or
It's
something.
always
all
on
the time.
TNT, or it was.
Yeah. No, but see, that's like something you bonded over. That's why he liked it because
Yeah.
he got to watch it with you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's funny though. The Glimmer Man is his movie.
I know you said that we can't recast Seagal, but can we recast anybody else in here?
Yeah. Well, who cares? I mean, it's kind of like a moot point, right?
I mean, I thought Tommy Lee Jones was somebody you could just put anybody in there. Like we said, Liam Neeson, Ed Harris, Kevin Spacey, Jeff Daniels.
Yeah. Well, not to hijack it once again, but did you see that that thing that came out? I think this has been news for a while, but it came to light recently again, where Jim Carrey talked about his first interaction with Tommy Lee Jones on the set of Batman Forever.
No, you told me about this, but I didn't see the quote.
It's like the most crotchety old man quote I've ever seen, and this was like in '96, right?
He is a crotchety old man.
So I guess Jim Carrey went to meet Tommy Lee Jones on the set, and they may have been in makeup already. Can you imagine Tommy Lee Jones in his red face makeup, right?
With the hair,
and Jim Carrey's in his like leotard or whatever,
the spandex.
Yeah. So he goes up to shake his hand, and I guess he shakes his hand.
Or I'm sorry, not Seagal. Seagal doesn't go.
Jim
Carrey goes to shake Tommy Lee Jones' hand.
Tommy Lee Jones' hand, and Jones like goes in for the hug.
Had they not met at this point?
Yeah, they haven't met. They go in for the hug, and then he tells him in his ear, you know, I hate you. I really don't like you. That's a quote.
This is a real quote.
Yeah. And then and Jim was like, hey man, whoa, hey, what's up? Why? And he goes, I cannot stand your buffoonery. That's the literal quote. I cannot stand your buffoonery.
That's ridiculous.
This is how serious this guy takes himself, right?
But it's like, listen, the set of that movie is not the time to put your nose up in the air and pretend to be an actor.
Yeah. So then Jim Carrey was like, yeah, this is kind of strange because like we're kind of doing this like kid-centric villainy type movie, goofy villainy movie, and you're like serious as death right now. So I don't know. Good luck channeling into your character, buddy.
You think he was just jealous because everybody loved Jim Carrey?
Well, we know that Jim Carrey like tried to steal that movie, right? Like,
he kind of did.
He was in full movie thief mode with his over-the-top acting.
He was on top of the world at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, we should do an. I know we talked about doing an episode on that. I don't know if we could.
Yeah.
It's been done to death.
Yeah, it's been done. So like he even had like the meta moment in the scene where he goes, "Is that over the top? I could never tell." It's like a meta moment. It's like, of course, like that's like you're
in
acting
the Sean?
in a nutshell.
It was in the Sean.
It was in the Sean. That's good.
I'm sorry, Sean.
Good.
I'm sorry.
Like
Thank you for writing in. You know, we're sitting here. We're not poking fun at you.
No. Seriously, we really appreciate the email, and I've always found that name funny. I apologize.
When you grow up watching Boy Meets World, you think about the name Sean a lot. So
it's with an H and a W. No, we've gone on too much. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think we should. We should get out of here. I got to go to bed and play some Rocket League tomorrow. No, but if you guys have a specific movie that you want us to do, we've been trying to cater them to some of the listeners that have been writing in. So some of the movies that we've recently done have been suggestions from our listeners. If you want to send us any suggestions, our website is thelastrowpodcast.com. Send us an email. That's a really good way to get in touch with us.
And if we make fun of your name, it's not because we don't like you.
It's because we love you.
It's because we love you.
It's because we love you. TheLastRowPodcast@gmail.com is our email address. And we are very active in the community on Twitter. We are very active in the community on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @TheLastRowPod. Tweet at us. Leave us an email. Send us any type of thing on our website. There's a feedback form. But most importantly, hit that subscribe button on that podcast, whatever podcatcher you use, iTunes, Pocket Cast, Overcast, whatever it is. iTunes, leave us a review.
Did you make that one up? Overcast?
Overcast is a real podcatcher.
The weather.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you can, please head on out to iTunes. Leave us that 5-star review. It helps us so much. Thank you to everybody that's done so far. We have just over 30 reviews. We've been doing the show for a little bit over a year now, so I'm pretty happy with that. Thank you, everybody that's left one. And if you're thinking about doing it, head on out. Please do that. We would very much appreciate that. And we'll see you guys next week.
What about broadcast?
Broadcast?
Yeah. What about Lakecast?
Lakecast.com.
What about cast?